Anyway, which seems an appropriate point at which to bring in Liz Trotter, Fox News contributor. Good morning, Liz.
Good morning, John.
I'm sorry, I think I've had too much coffee.
You're off to a roaring start.
And we also have with us from our Washington, D.C. bureau, David Mercer, Democratic strategist. Good morning to both of you. Thanks for being here. Liz, let me get to you.
Good morning, Jonathan and Liz.
Good morning, David.
Let me come to you first, Liz. On this, this European terror alerts that we seem to keep getting, is this everybody overreacting, or are the authorities in all of these cases doing exactly what they should be doing? Do they, in other words, have to overreact almost each time these days?
Well, I think at Christmas they have to look as though they're really on their toes. But one can only imagine, I mean, if they do have any plans to blow anything up, what do you think the disruption of the flight schedules are doing to the timetable the terrorists have? Right. I mean, one has to consider
Europe is
that
falling
too.
apart, that's true.
Either it's good for them in the confusion, or they'll be able to proceed on schedule. They have to be trying. I mean, it's Christmas. I mean, what a target for an Islamist. I mean, that's what they despise most.
And David, you look at the arrests in Britain yesterday of these 12. Apparently the cops there have got their eyes on something like a couple of thousand extremists that they believe could be involved in these kind of things, and then they seem to move in if and when they think it's necessary. Is there a sense of entrapment here at all, or again, are they doing the right thing?
I think they're doing the right thing. I'm not sure it's entrapment. In fact, why would we want to waste our time doing that when we need to keep our eyes and ears open, and monitoring, I think, might be the word to apply in this situation. And you want to keep tabs and see if anything is trending, patterns developing, new cells arising, movements, etc. So again, going to what Liz said, I think, you know, there is a alertness which we have to have, and a vigilance, but I think it's getting fine-tuned, unfortunately, because of the frequency that they're occurring since 9/11.
All right, you two are agreeing far too much, so let's get to start, where I'm sure we can start a little argument. How important is it that we get start done, Liz? I'm assuming you don't think it's that vital before this lame duck session runs out.
Well, I'm just overwhelmed always by the sense that this administration feels that they have to kowtow to the Russians and to the Chinese and to anybody else. No, I don't know what the rush is all about. They really seem to have to, this overriding need to chalk up some sort of victory, much like the health care plan. But I think the thing has to be discussed more. I don't think unilateral disarmament, which I think is the end game in this whole thing, is an ideal or even workable concept.
David, START seems to be very important to the president.
START is very important to the American people, to global interest all around, to other countries, allies, etc. And, you know, this should have been done a long time ago. And the Republicans have had plenty of time to study START, even for those incumbents that have been in Congress for years. In 92, 96, it took less than 5 days in those ratifications on the START treaty. So this is nothing new, and they are very familiar with it. Back in August, Senator Kerry, or Chairman Kerry of the Foreign Relations Committee, had even acceded to a Republican delay to give him more time once again. But this is too important, and also every Republican Secretary of State that is still alive has urged the ratification of this treaty. And we need to put some things to bed on the global stage so that we can address other pressing issues. But this is a matter of course. And I think, you know, we're already probably 2 or 3 legislative victories that the president has. And in large part, or, you know, in some part, I'll give that. You know, some of the Republicans do not want to see the president, you know, walking away before Christmas with 3 out of 4 legislative victories.
David Mercer in D.C. Liz Trotter says we shouldn't believe the government census because it's being brought up by the government.
Was that a rhetorical question?
I think it was on Liz's part.
But now it's a real question. Why should we believe this report that's prepared by the government? I mean, you really think this is an objective report?
I do believe it's an objective report.
It's
and
your
it also
government,
will be
so
the
naturally you would say that.
I'm not in government, just for clarification.
In Seoul.
But actually, I'm in the private sector and functioning well in the private sector.
David,
but going back to the original question.
Yeah, go on.
It's a basis by which actually legislators around the country in all the states will use those numbers to determine allocation of congressional seats, and with that allocation of tax revenues to and from. So it's got a lot of impact to what the future allocations are among those in the demographics and the distribution trends that are occurring that we capture every 10 years by the census count.
David, just quickly on one of the figures that James was talking about there seems to be a migration from the more Democratic-leaning Rust Belt states towards the more Republican-leaning Sun Belt states. Does that worry you? Does that kind of demographic shift worry you as a Democrat?
It is something I wish you didn't bring up today, but we'll deal in the future. But since you asked...
See, objectivity, we're getting down to it.
Yeah, that's been, the silent issue that, as we get past or got past the midterms and getting through the lame duck session, a lot of people are going to be dedicating a lot of research and strategy and advising as to how to deal with those new trends and those movements and patterns. And it is a big issue for us and a challenge we would have rather not faced going into 2012. In addition to the fact, as you know, and I'll put it out there, that the Republicans captured this past November the majority of state houses as well as governors. So we have an uphill battle there.
And Liz, on the Republican side, then you might want to be taking a look perhaps at the increase in Hispanic voters who traditionally lean more Democratic. Is that something that concerns you?
Well, yeah, it does, because the Republicans have made virtually no inroads in that vote at all, and the Hispanic vote is wedded in every way. I mean, through organizations like AARP, for example, just wedded to the whole idea of being Democrats and actually believe that it's better for people of low income, and that when, I think there's a lot of evidence to the contrary.
All right. I want to move on to...
if I might put a qualifier on what Liz said, the Republicans, even with Bush, had 40% of the Hispanic vote. Then McCain, and because of the actions or inactions of the Republican Party, McCain only got 29%. And I got to believe that after the vote on the DREAM Act, which a lot of Republicans got in the way of, you're going to see those numbers dipping. So it's not just that they automatically fall to the Democrats. The Republicans have been doing a lot to lose them and to not instill or build the confidence in a relationship
Except that
with
the DREAM Act was put forward and supported by a very radical, I mean, to just say the Hispanic vote, that is a very radical part of the Hispanic vote, and I don't take that as any indication that that's the general sentiment of the Hispanic vote.
Well, I'll say a vote is a vote, and you try to get every vote you can, as you well know.
All right, I want to get both of your thoughts on another big story of the day, the FCC planning a vote or preparing a vote on this plan to regulate the Internet.
Is there nothing this government will not regulate? I mean,
is that a rhetorical question again? You've got full of rhetorical questions today,
well, I
Liz.
mean, really, I didn't mean to jump your question,
No, please,
Jonathan.
go ahead.
Excuse me. But this is wrong. I mean, everything they touch is let's regulate it. And I suppose they think the case of Julian Assange, the internet terrorist, is going to help them make their case, and it has nothing to do with it. And
why does it have nothing to do with it?
Well, because, I mean, we're talking about somebody that might be prosecuted under the Espionage Act. That really has nothing to do with free speech at all, in my book. This is a totally different kind of case if they're really going to nail this guy. And you have to regulate it. They're saying, well, we're going to go after porn. But what else are they going to go after? I mean, are they going to go after...
David, it does open up a Pandora's box, if you like, of what they could or could not do, does it not?
I would say this. Look, where our country and globally, the internet is reorienting the way we think, the way we do things, and our laws and our approach to maintaining stability has to catch up with technology, and that is what the FCC is there to do. Going to Liz's point, I mean, she sounds like we shouldn't even have traffic lights, that are put there by the government, maintained by the government, to keep traffic flows going. I mean, come on, you need traffic lights, and you need to have the public sector governing to create an environment that allows for productivity, allows for jobs, and addresses challenges or circumstances that arise that we didn't account for to continue to have stability as well as prosperity.
Censorship.
Okay, David Mercer joining us from Washington today. Thank you so much for being with us, sir. Merry Christmas to you.
Pleasure.
Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays as well.